Putin is running again because he realizes that he's not safe even in Moscow. Just a few days ago, Ukraine took out a senior FSB officer named Alexei Titov. The operation took place at a cafe next to the FSB headquarters inside Moscow. You see, FSB officers like to gather at this cafe for informal meetings, and Ukraine was able to take perfect advantage of this habit. A timed explosion happened right as the senior officer Titov entered the cafe, and it seems now he has lost both his hands. And on top of that, he's in an induced coma. Now, this is extremely embarrassing for the FSB. A senior officer was targeted and put in coma right next to the headquarters inside the Russian capital, Moscow. I don't need to write the headline for you guys to realize how bad this sounds. So FSB actually did not want this news getting out. They tried their best to sweep this under the rug. But it seems Russian Telegram channels got wind of what happened, and they are now freaking out. Here's the Telegram channel that first reported on this. On the Cotton in Children's World toy store, definitely not a cotton, but a successful sabotage by Ukrainians. They blew up the one they wanted. The FSB general is in serious condition in an artificial coma. End this report by saying something that sent chills down Putin's spine. And just so no one is confused, if they can get this special officer, they can get anyone. And this is exactly what Putin did not want to hear. Even Russian Telegram channels that are extremely pro-Russians are publicly admitting that Ukraine can reach anyone inside Russia. And this is something Putin does not want to hear. Paranoid Putin. By the way, timing of this is also very stressful for the Kremlin because just last week, Kremlin started another purge in the Russian military department where FSB is now arresting major generals to stop them from speaking out against corruption. This is something we discussed in our most recent episode of our weekly podcast, Global Recaps, with Jason J. Smart. So let's listen to that clip.
Sure, I mean, those both things are going on. Throughout this war, Ukraine has carried out a number of assassinations inside of Russia of things such as generals, admirals, who are engaged in the war against Ukraine. And these are all legitimate military targets, of course. Now, what's interesting here, though, is what's happening is it seems the FSB of Russia, the intelligence service, might be doing even more to help with this effort. Because what they're doing is arresting generals in the Russian military. What's really interesting here is this. Just earlier today, General Kuznetsov was arrested. He was in charge of a very important office, and it's probably no coincidence they went after him. So upon raiding his house and his offices, they found he had hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, he had a couple $1 million of property, and a few $1 million more in other assets. They say it's all from bribes. And that's because he was in charge of the office that would decide who got promoted and who didn't. He would decide who got housing and who didn't. But that is why he undoubtedly received bribes from essentially everybody in the Russian military. Because the only way to move ahead in the Russian military, the only way to get promoted, is that you cover up the corruption of your superiors. And when you become a superior, you make your subordinates cover up your corruption. So this is an entire process, and that's what's hollowed out the Russian military. It's why today, Russia's just having a disastrous time in Ukraine. It's a country of 140 million people, versus in free Ukraine, there's like 23 million people, but Russia is not advancing. It's just a disaster. And the reason is because the corruption in their military has destroyed their ability to have a modern military. But this general's arrest means something else. It means at this point, going forward, there is a war that's become open, and really open, between the FSB and the military, where the FSB is trying to make up for the money it doesn't have anymore due to the downturn of the economy by shaking people down like oligarchs and arresting military officers at the most senior level. And going ahead, there will probably be more arrests and more attacks like this. But for the military, that's destabilizing. That means all their lives are at risk. And that's not good for the Putin regime. Because when you have a lot of the senior military leadership start to decide that, this is probably not going to work out well for us, you end up with a, Prigozhin-like scenario, which, by the way, his anniversary was in August when he was killed 2 years ago. And in Moscow, look at the number of people that came, brought flowers, brought candles on the memory of Prigozhin's death. So would the public in general support and overthrow the Putin regime? There's increasingly signs that they probably would.
And also the other side that doesn't make sense in all this is why is FSB going after generals if they're afraid they will speak out? Wouldn't it be better to let them continue so they have an incentive to not speak out?
They want to go after generals to get their money. They're not interested in doing this for law enforcement purposes or to help the war. They're interested in seizing their assets, taking their cash. And this guy's important because if he talks, he has a lot of information. This general was in charge of promotions, so anyone who got promoted during his tenure, they'd be eyeing them. And that then would give huge leverage to the FSB to dangle over the military, to use it against them, in order to consolidate power and control.
If you're interested in watching the whole episode, you can do so by clicking the link in the description or the card above. It just came out today, and this was episode 1, but we plan on doing it every single week. Now let's continue to more news from Russia. And let me tell you, it's really not good news for Putin because Ukraine has continued targeting and destroying Russia's economy by going after Russia's oil industry. Here we have a clip of another drone strike on Sarjan oil refinery in Samara region of Russia. This refinery processes about 3% of entire oil that Russia processes as a country, and this is exactly why Ukraine is hitting these refineries, because it affects the Russian economy and it hurts Putin's pockets. Let's watch the clip.
Все. Походу все. Вот это окончательно. Все, все.
This refinery is going to be offline for quite a while. Once you guys see the aftermath footage, you'll realize why I'm saying that. That means it will not be able to produce the oil that Putin so desperately needs to satisfy the domestic demand, and on top of that, he needs the oil to export to other nations so he can continue this war. Here's the clip of the aftermath. It looks like hell. Situation has gotten so bad for the Russian oil industry that the Russian media is now calling it Black August for Russian refineries. The reason for this nickname is simple. The Russian refinery shutdowns have hit a historic record. According to Reuters, it seems like 6.4 million tons of refining capacity is offline. That's almost 23% of total country's capacity, almost 1/4. Now, we all know it's because of Ukrainian drones. We have seen on video evidence that Ukraine has hit at least 10 plants and disabled no fewer than 5 refineries. But when you ask the Russian officials why this capacity is offline, they say it's because of unscheduled maintenance. I guess technically they are not wrong. Ukraine did not give them a schedule as to which plant it was attacking when, so now these plants are under unscheduled maintenance. In fact, last night we had more drones arrive in Russia's Rostov-on-Don region, and another refinery just had to go through unscheduled maintenance. Look at the clip yourself. The Russian authorities have announced an emergency meeting of oil companies to address this fuel crisis. According to the authorities, the reason for this meeting is to figure out how to solve the oil shortages in Russia. It seems Putin is finally successful in his dream of recreating the Soviet Union. Much like the Soviet Union in the 80s, Russia is now experiencing shortages when it really shouldn't, and the citizens have no one to blame but their leaders. I guess I gotta give credit where credit is due. Putin said he'll recreate the Soviet Union, and he's doing it in front of our eyes. The situation is so bad that even Kremlin media is reporting on it. Let's listen in.
Russia's summer fuel crisis is now headline news here. Moskovsky Komsomolets leads with crazy fuel tanks. The situation with petrol supply to the regions is near critical. It seems that Russia is on the verge of a full-scale fuel crisis. At many gas stations, AI-95 gasoline has completely disappeared. In Crimea, the Khabarovsk region and Primoria, Russian Far East, drivers queue up for hours to fill up their cars, often to no avail. Prices, both exchange price and retail, are climbing like weeds after a downpour. The authorities are trying to react. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak holds one meeting after another on the gasoline situation, but so far the measures proposed by the government have not brought the expected result. Tension in the country's fuel market is growing. The main problem is the shortage of fuel for ordinary customers, which is affecting more and more regions and taking on increasingly unpleasant forms. For example, the local administration of the Kuril district of Sakhalin had to introduce a limit on sales, no more than 10 litres per person, since August the 20th. Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian oil refineries are a big factor in all of this. But in this article, that's only mentioned in passing.
Like I said, according to Russian officials and Kremlin TV, the drone attacks have nothing to do with the shortages. The refineries are just going through an unscheduled maintenance. It happens all the time, guys. Calm down. Anyways, these attacks on refineries are having secondary effects in the economy and in normal citizens' lives. This is something we'll talk about in just a second, but one of the most shocking reports I saw coming out of Russia was the fact that regions like Rostov are facing water shortages because the water is being diverted to put out the fire at these refineries. That's just laughable. In Rostov region, a city with population of 30,000 people had its water supply cut off to extinguish a fire at an oil refinery. It has been going on for 3 days. The residents of the city had their water supply cut off in order to fill water tanks for the fire. This announcement came from the Housing and Public Utilities Corporation. If you're worried about how AI is changing everything, jobs, industries, education, even the economy, you're not alone. According to a Rutgers University report, 7 in 10 US workers say they are very or somewhat worried about employers using AI. 3 in 10 are worried about their job being eliminated altogether. Even experts agree with this feeling. Many studies have shown that by 2030s, 30% of all jobs will be automated by AI and 44% of workers will be replaced. That's why you have to pay attention if you want to avoid becoming a victim. This is exactly why I recently made a YouTube video that breaks down exactly what's happening behind the scenes and how people are preparing, not just to survive, but to benefit from the AI revolution. This is not about becoming a coder or building the next ChatGPT. It's about understanding where the real leverage is as AI evolves and how normal people are using it to build a safer career path right now. If you're feeling uncertain about the future or you're just curious about what your options are, watch that video here on YouTube by clicking the link in the description or card on your screen.